once you've tied the knots
A wedding day is truly, truly special.
and thrown the bouquet,
It's the pinnacle of everything.
it's time to enjoy the holiday of a lifetime.
Everybody deserves a perfect honeymoon.
The ultimate romantic moment.
That's when the fun really starts.
Whether it's an idyllic, luxurious beach escape
Relax at a 5-star hotel.
Beautiful paradise getaway.
or a walk on the wild side,
This is the kind of thing you want to tick off your bucket list.
when these honeymoons go right,
Romance cranked up past 100.
you'll make memories to last a lifetime.
The absolute trip of your dreams.
But
I was down like a sack of potatoes.
when they go horribly wrong,
Most venomous fish in the wild. My foot was on fire. It was agony.
the honeymoon period will be well and truly over. Coming up, things get grisly as an Alaskan adventure gets too much to bear.
I was frozen with fear.
Grizzly bears do kill.
A marriage faces an uphill battle when two newlyweds get stranded in Asia.
The walk back was going to take us about 17 hours.
What are we going to do?
And honeymoon plans
We'd settled on North Korea.
get shelved.
We were woken up with sounds of explosions in Kiev.
As some newlyweds living in Ukraine find themselves in the middle of a war zone.
Let's go.
Rather than becoming honeymooners, they pretty much became refugees.
So, treat yourself to something fizzy and snuggle up when honeymoon holidays go horribly wrong. Around 2 million couples across the globe tie the knot each year.
Our wedding day, isn't that just so special?
People dream about it, they've been planning it.
For everyone concerned, it is quite a magical day.
Australians Gemma and Damien chose the glorious Aussie countryside for their wedding.
We had a beautiful outdoor ceremony with the backdrop of a ruined chapel.
It was a lot about fun and festivities and good times with good people.
We had a really fun time and a really great weekend with everyone that we really loved.
Such a big day deserves a honeymoon to match, and the happy couple were not content with 2 weeks sat on a beach.
We chose Africa because it was a place that neither of us had been.
We did want to have an adventure.
Our friends recommended Rwanda. They had this amazing experience with the gorillas in the jungle. It just sounded like this adventurous but romantic and really cultural experience that was very unique.
Who wouldn't love to get up close and personal with some gorillas?
They're our closest primate relatives, and being able to see them in their own environment, what a great experience that would be.
It can't get much better than this.
Their epic honeymoon had an agenda of dreams.
The plan was that we would start in Rwanda. We were going to have the gorilla experience. After that, we were moving to Tanzania to hike Mount Kilimanjaro, which was a week-long trip.
To be able to experience that with someone that you love is priceless.
And then we would go to the Serengeti and Ngorongoro crater to do safari.
Can you imagine the Serengeti sunrise and sunset? The ultimate romantic moment.
And then Zanzibar, where we were at a beautiful resort.
This is truly something on anyone's bucket list.
The first leg of their African tour was a long trek to hopefully catch sight of the enigmatic Rwanda gorilla.
The duration of that hike can take anywhere from 2 hours to 6 hours sometimes before you see a gorilla. The anticipation was a really key element to building up the excitement.
And their honeymoon adventure wouldn't disappoint.
We ended up kind of down in this beautiful open area. And there were so many gorillas. There was an entire family. They were just basking in the sun and they were just hanging out.
It must be quite a beautiful moment, being so close to wildlife like that.
The biggest joy for us really was seeing this huge silverback gorilla just like lounging in the long grass and these little ones just jumping and rolling all over his shoulders.
You can't beat that, can you?
It was quite a special experience.
Gemma and Damien were well aware that this extraordinary experience came with warnings.
Our guides had said you never want to stand up to a gorilla and act in a dominant way.
If they were to come closer and to get curious, that we should allow them to do that without being to approaching towards them.
You want to make sure that they know that you're not there to hurt them.
These creatures are huge, and they're also very temperamental.
You don't want to make eye contact with these gorillas.
Especially when you're faced with a 31-stone beast that has the strength of 20 humans.
I was next to one of the guides. All of a sudden, the silverback gorilla stands up, beats his chest, and starts coming towards my general direction straight away. Don't look him in the eye, move out of his way, he's just gonna go past. Next thing I know, his enormous hand was on my hip and I was thrown to the ground. Oh my goodness. Oh my God! 100% shocked.
Jimmy, you're okay. The dominant silverback gorilla plowed straight through my wife and threw her to the ground.
And boy, did she go down.
I was down like a sack of potatoes.
It's so scary.
The strength in that gorilla was incredible.
Crazy, crazy moment.
I guess I kind of feared for my life in a split second.
I would absolutely be crapping my pants.
I imagined opening my eyes and seeing this gorilla bearing over me with teeth bared.
It was pretty intense.
Gemma was in her own King Kong movie.
1 minute, the silverback was rolling around with the other gorillas. Next minute, my wife's on the ground.
Incredible, and equally scary and perhaps magical.
Gemma had been hit by the equivalent of 2 fridges.
Her life must have flashed before her eyes because he could have killed her.
Jimmy, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. Jimmy, you're okay.
All of a sudden, I was then picked up. The guide had grabbed my arm and I was up.
The gorilla had proceeded on his way. It was very clear that she was safe.
And the guides were kind of like, you're up, move on.
It's a mystery why the silverback charged at Gemma, although Damien has a theory.
I would say that wardrobe attire, in retrospect, was probably questionable.
Bright pink, kind of asking for trouble.
There is a reason why people wear camouflage in the jungle.
You gotta be fashion forward, and this gorilla clearly was.
Gemma dressed accordingly for the rest of the trip. They still had bigger beasts to encounter.
I was hopeful that another experience like this wouldn't happen on safari.
Yeah, fortunately, no similar close encounters.
Thankfully, Gemma's brush with the king of the swingers didn't dampen the romance.
There's something about experiencing that with Damien on our honeymoon that makes it all the more special.
Who could ever imagine for something like that to happen at any time in their lives, let alone on their honeymoon?
Being pushed over by a gorilla in the Rwandan jungle isn't the most romantic thing to have happen on your honeymoon, but we really did have a beautiful, romantic, lovely honeymoon, and we wouldn't have changed it for the world.
Let's face it, the honeymoon period of any relationship is, well, the honeymoon period, when you get to do all the gushy, romantic things you ever dreamed of.
We all love a bit of romance, don't we? Gazing into each other's eyes over a wonderful candlelit meal.
Oh, a classic. Especially if your Colorado mountain lodge throws in a roaring log fire when you drop by for a romantic honeymoon lunch. I mean, could this be more romantic?
Bang! Out of nowhere. What a...
Oh my goodness.
That's not very romantic.
Check, please. Bad head means bad news when you're on your honeymoon. But of all the romantic moments honeymooners can have, right up there is using an infinity pool to reflect your infinite love and your commitment to a long, happy life together.
Love an infinity pool.
What a beautiful romantic setting.
Whoops.
Darling, this wasn't part of the plan.
How did she even fall?
Well, like this.
He doesn't care. Doesn't even help her out. He should have dived in there after her and rescued her.
He's utterly useless.
Infinitely safer than an infinity pool and oh so romantic is a rose petal-filled bath for 2.
Candles everywhere, and it's so sweet and it's lovely.
Looking bubblicious there, babes.
Oh no.
Oh, no, no. No way!
You're on fire!
Panic station?
Oh my God.
She is out of there.
I've never seen someone jump out of a bath so quickly.
The relationship must be hot. And now it's just getting even hotter.
They just wanted to have a lovely romantic bath together.
Probably try it without the candles.
Getting hitched to your loved one doesn't have to be all champagne and roses. Travel junkies, Kieran and Silka, like to do things a little differently.
We were going to walk 500 kilometres across Scotland to get married right on the same spot where I proposed.
We walked for 1 month and it was raining for the first 2 weeks.
It was a pretty big test on the relationship, but I think we got through it and we ended up getting married at the end.
Having had an out-of-the-ordinary wedding, it's no surprise they wanted an unconventional honeymoon.
When we met, I was like, lover, I'm gonna take you to see the world. Wanted a very long honeymoon, and then we thought 10 years sounds good.
Yeah.
A 10-year honeymoon.
Most people would say we'll take a 1-week honeymoon. Maybe 2 weeks if we're pushing the boat out.
That's longer than most people's marriages.
Their honeymoon odyssey was going to take them to all 4 corners of the globe.
We want to see the most beautiful places, get off the beaten path, and see everything within the next 10 years of our time together.
2 years into their epic journey, they found themselves in Laos, sandwiched between Thailand and Vietnam.
Laos is like Thailand 15 years ago.
It's an incredibly beautiful country. Such friendly people, delicious food, and a very low cost as well.
It's going to be this opportunity of a lifetime. It's going to be really unique.
Their choice of accommodation in Laos was certainly unusual.
We had stayed at an elephant sanctuary, volunteering for a month, and then at the end of that month, the owner of the sanctuary said, I've got an old beat-up bike. Do you want to take it on a road trip around Laos? I'm sure that the bike, in its heyday, was incredible, but by the time we got our hands on it, it was an amalgamation of just thrown together bike parts, and nothing really worked 100%.
Yeah, this sounds like a really good idea. Lots.
Undeterred by their ramshackle transport, the intrepid explorers headed off on a 1,200-mile road trip to see the splendours of Laos.
When we got on the road, then the excitement took over, and for the first hour of driving, we were like, wow, the roads are beautiful, everything's incredible, the bike feels amazing.
However, once off the beaten track, it wasn't such a smooth ride.
Laos easily has some of the worst roads I have ever ridden on.
Oh my God.
This hill proved too much. Not even 50 kilometers into the journey, the first day, the bike had its first breakdown.
This was a recurring theme on their 3-week trek along the remote back roads of Laos.
We had often problems with the bike.
We have got a flat.
This is breakdown number 5.
Constant bike repairs made a large dent in their wallet, and 2 days from home, money was tight.
Let's hit the roads. We only had maybe a few pounds, so we kept our money for sleeping and just said, okay, we'll try and find food along the way. The bike is running the best it has ran since we first started.
So, feeling confident, Kieran took the scenic route off the beaten path.
These roads were super steep downhills, super steep uphills.
They were about to encounter the mother of all problems.
This sound was different. Something like this, and I was like, lover, this is not normal.
It was too far to turn back. The bike just didn't go anymore, and we couldn't get up the hill.
They were stuck in a remote area, miles from anywhere, and 2 days' ride from home.
How on earth were they going to get back again?
It's not like they've got the AA they can call on.
The only option is to walk. Yeah, messed up. I guess it's number 11 to the mechanic. It would take maybe 5 hours to walk to the next village, but they also didn't know if there was a mechanic there.
I honestly think we're going to be in a big mess because I don't think we've not got enough money to pay for this.
I know.
You're in the middle of nowhere, you're stranded, you're basically screwed.
I was really annoyed at that point. We didn't have food, we only had 2 bananas that day.
Yeah. The bike to push up a hill was so heavy. What? I lost my patience with it. I threw it down, and at that point, the clutch broke.
This situation's going from bad to worse.
The severity of their predicament was sinking in.
What are we going to do?
We didn't have enough money even to eat because we were saving to be able to sleep somewhere.
No money, very little food, and they're spending their honeymoon pushing a motorbike up a steep hill.
2.5 hours of walk left until the next village.
Doesn't sound like much of a honeymoon to me.
The most scary part for me was that it was soon going to become dark, and I didn't want to be in the middle of nowhere, in the dark, with our bike.
I think I would have lost the plot by now.
Their dream honeymoon had turned into a nightmare.
Everything that a honeymoon is, this was not.
It was really, really hard.
Yeah, I wanted nothing more than to be lounging by a pool somewhere, enjoying like a real honeymoon.
If you're that adventurous, you've got to accept the risks. This is the adventure that they crave.
And they were miles from home.
The walk back was going to take us about 17 hours.
I'd be like, somebody, get me out of here, send a helicopter, get me to the nearest hotel.
They managed to hitch a lift to the next village, where the unhappy couple found a bed for the night. The next morning, their luck changed. The village had a mechanic.
We're gonna see if they can help us, and if not, it is a long, hard push all the way to Mandelbaum.
We had about 100,000 left, and we said, look, we've got 100,000, can you even get the bike to start? And this guy worked on the bike for a couple of hours.
Their saviour managed to get the bike working, although there was a novel way to get it started.
I would run, jump start the bike. Silke would have to run after me. She'd jump onto the back, and then we could go.
This is crazy. The only problem is you cannot stop.
Every time we stopped, we thought, is this going to be the last time? But it was terrifying.
In those kind of moments, it's just trusting that everything will be okay. We'll get there.
Silke's got a super positive mindset and outlook on life, so she did keep me going through all of this.
Finally, after 3 weeks on the road, they reached home, the elephant sanctuary, where a warm welcome awaited.
Felt like the best welcome home. They were both feeling so emotional.
So happy.
Despite their setbacks in Laos, their honeymoon continues.
We have 8 years left, so let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, they went out looking for a honeymoon adventure, and adventure is what they found.
This was, I think, the very definition of misadventure.
Let's go.
The route to your honeymoon holiday is paved with the promise of a perfect end destination. But once hitched, you can sit back and enjoy the ride.
This is going to be the trip that builds all the memories for your married life together.
For Sarah and hubby Paxton from Wichita in Kansas, their special memories started at the ceremony.
We got married in Lincoln, Nebraska. It was an awesome outdoor wedding.
The childhood sweethearts had long shared a passion for the great outdoors.
After high school, we didn't have much money, and hiking in the outdoors was something we could do and enjoy, and it just kind of grew from there.
And when it came to the honeymoon...
I was very interested in just sitting on a beach, but he had other plans for us. So I went along with it.
And for this adventurous couple, one location was a clear winner.
We love going to the national parks, and we know there's a bunch up in Alaska, so we thought it was a great opportunity.
Alaska is a dream state. Most of it absolutely wild, raw nature.
It's an awesome place to go.
A bit of adventure, you know, go into the wild.
Sarah and Paxton enjoyed a wide range of wild activities.
We actually kayaked right next to a humpback whale in Alaska, which was really cool. Seen some moose, some coyote, and every experience that we had was just amazing.
I mean, what an adventure.
There were many beautiful hiking trails offering spectacular views by day, followed by romantic nights under the stars. But their trip of a lifetime was coming to an end.
On this last day, we decided to take one last hike before we called it a night, and we were gonna head back home.
A good night's sleep was just what they needed ahead of the full-day 9-mile trail. The next morning, the hiking honeymooners set off on their last walk.
It was incredible, beautiful. We had gone all the way up the mountain, and we were heading down. It was probably 4 or 5 p.m. when we were finishing up the hike.
However, the couple suddenly realised they weren't alone.
I see this bear just standing there.
This is terrifying.
Instead of like continuing on its path, it decided to turn towards us.
I was frozen with fear.
So scary.
Run away!
It was coming up the trail right at us.
Get out of the way!
I just remember my heart just like beating out of my chest.
The closer it gets, the bigger it gets.
It's like, oh no, it's gonna turn right towards us and charge us.
Grizzly bears do kill.
You're telling me? Grizzlies account for more human deaths than any other bear, with around 30 fatal attacks since the year 2000 alone.
If they want to kill you, it's pretty much over.
Okay.
It was maybe 5-10 feet away from us, and it quickened its step.
This is no teddy bear's picnic, is it?
Do you want to get mauled to death on your honeymoon?
It was terrifying.
Thank you, Bear.
That is heart-stopping stuff.
My knees are literally shaking.
I thank the bear, essentially, for not killing us.
Thank you, Bear.
Sounds stupid, but it might have saved our lives.
But what are you meant to do in this situation? What are you meant to do?
I did what I could to stay alive.
Are you meant to run? Can you outrun a bear? Are you meant to stay still?
The safety rules for when you encounter a grizzly are clear. Number 1, don't run.
You kind of set off an instinct that they need to chase you.
2, don't just stand there.
Just kind of get out of its way.
Just be calm.
3,
Don't make eye contact, you look down.
and 4, talk to the bear.
Start talking softly. The idea is that you show the bear that you're not prey for them.
During Sarah and Paxton's unique encounter with a grizzly, they did everything right. But luck was also on their side.
He wasn't interested, he just wanted to walk down the path.
It was an incredible honeymoon, but at that point, I was very ready to go home.
The couple made it home from an unforgettable honeymoon, albeit one they'd remember for all the wrong reasons.
It could have been worse, you know. They could have met a grisly end to their marriage.
It's pretty cool to just see how close we got and how narrowly we were able to leave our honeymoon safely.
My Bear. Thank you, Bear.
There's one all-important element to a honeymoon holiday, capturing those wonderful romantic moments on camera.
You want to show the world, you want to show all your mates, you're having an amazing time.
And you want that perfect moment. You want the clinking of the champagne glasses.
Look at these wonderful locations we're at. They all look so fabulous, don't they?
They want to make everybody jealous of their fabulous honeymoon.
And why not? If you're basking in the lap of luxury, film it. Especially if you want to show off your infinity pool overlooking the beautiful Aegean Sea.
Step out on your balcony and then you've got this lovely private pool.
Oh, look at me. Look how amazing it is where I am.
What an immaculate way just to enter the evening. Oops! Bang. You're underwater. Save the wine! Save the wine!
Wine glass was safe.
My kind of girl.
The backdrop of the Aegean Sea is a drop in the ocean if you're honeymooning in a lavish paradise like the Maldives.
You want people to share the ultimate moment of being at one with your man in a beautiful, idyllic place.
It just looks like something you'd see in a brochure.
They're having the best holiday ever.
Imagine the little cameras clicking down. You get ready for the pose. Oh my, boom.
If you reach up too far and lean too far backwards, guess what?
That's what you get for showing off to your new wife.
If you don't have a swing to pose on, you'll need to improvise, like this couple honeymooning in South Africa.
Oh, the romance, beautiful setting, waves crashing behind you.
Rolling over rocks to get the perfect picture.
I mean, the seas were rough. Don't go out there, kids. Please don't. It's got disaster written all over it.
Funny you should say that, Sarah.
wipe out.
1 minute they're there, the next they're gone.
Ooh, ouch.
That had to hurt big time.
It's a rocky start to marriage.
Cruises are for extravagant travel and indulgence, so it's no surprise that many newlyweds plump for a luxury cruise as their honeymoon of choice.
A cruise is a really great way to celebrate a honeymoon because it means that you have lots of time that you can just dedicate to each other, and also you're going to be seeing some amazing spots while you're on board.
It's such a luxury experience. It's something really different, and it does feel that extra bit special compared to your average holiday experience.
And for Chris and Bex, they had their heart set on a Mediterranean cruise to kick off their married life.
We splashed out and it was a holiday of a lifetime for us. 2 weeks on board a luxury ship, just us two being together, going to see places.
And this was a first for lovebirds Chris and Bex, who had an extra special stop-off in mind for another big event.
We were stopping at Venice on my 50th birthday.
50th in Venice. Lovely.
He was going to take me on a gondola ride with an ice cream, sing me a song and have a lovely meal and just have the best birthday ever.
The newlyweds set off for Naples, where they embarked on their 2-week luxury cruise.
We got on the ship and it was huge. We've never been on a cruise before. It's a floating hotel, so every morning you'd wake up in a different city.
The cabin was gorgeous. We had a balcony overlooking the sea, lovely bed, nice towels made into a different animal every day. Table out on the balcony, that's how big the balcony was.
For the first 48 hours, they were riding the crest of the wave. And with the ship steaming ahead to Venice in time for Bex's birthday, everything was ship-shape. That is, until...
I woke up that morning feeling a little bit queasy. I wasn't sure whether it was too many cocktails the night before. Chris had gone out for a walk and I just thought I'd have a shower, get ready, have a coffee and feel better. Severe diarrhoea to start with. Luckily, the sink was very close to the toilet and proceeded to empty out both ends. At one point, I was being so violently sick that I couldn't catch my breath and I thought I was going to pass out.
When I came back to the cabin, it was fairly obvious that there was something wrong. Phoned the doctor from the cabin and they said they'd send someone immediately, but nobody turned up for about an hour and a half.
So when the doctor finally came, I had an injection in my bum to stop the vomiting, but the feeling of lethargy and illness was still there and all I could do was lay on the bed.
And then it was my turn.
Needless to say, this wasn't what Chris and Bex had envisaged for their dream honeymoon. They'd both contracted a severe case of norovirus, a highly contagious stomach bug that causes extreme sickness and diarrhoea, and they were now seriously unwell.
We were ordered to stay in our cabin for 48 hours after our last bout of sickness and diarrhoea.
They're stuck in their room for all the wrong reasons, not what you'd expect on a honeymoon.
We weren't going to be getting off the ship the next day when we docked into Venice.
It was not very nice, looking out the window with my wife crying. We were so sick we couldn't even get out of the bed to sit on the balcony.
I can't imagine how heartbreaking it must have been, wearing your tiara, trying to enjoy your honeymoon, trying to celebrate a huge birthday in a beautiful place, and just being too sick to do any of it.
The ship turned around. Venice disappeared into the sunset.
Venice came and went with the couple confined to their cabin. In total, 40 passengers were infected by the outbreak, and it was a slow road to recovery for Chris and Bex, who were still feeling the after effects of the virus months later, not to mention the disappointment of their disastrous honeymoon.
We'll never be on a luxury cruise ship on my 50th birthday, pulling into Venice, to spend a day with my new husband in the most romantic city in the world. And we'll never get that back.
Heartbreaking.
The only thing sweeter than marrying your beloved honey bunny is hopping off together on honeymoon somewhere warm and sunny.
It's all about the romance, isn't it?
We love being in love.
especially when you know you found the one.
You are going to spend the rest of your life with them.
And be mates for life, like Dan and Gabby.
The plan was to have a lovely big Jewish wedding with about 250 guests.
And a lovely big trip-of-a-lifetime honeymoon just a few months later.
We chose New York because it's such a buzzing city and we love to be out and about and exploring places.
Big lights, big trees, the Rockefeller Center, walking through Central Park.
By now, there was another reason to celebrate.
It was a honeymoon and a baby moon because we had a child on the way. Let's make the last of this moment being free.
However, their honeymoon began to go horribly wrong before they'd even touched down, when their flight ran into extreme weather en route to New York Central Airport, JFK.
Suddenly, on the screens in front of us, JFK switches to ALB, and I'm like, where are we going now?
With temperatures plummeting to -35, New York was in the grip of a snow cyclone bomb, its main airport in chaos due to the complete whiteout.
During the early part of January, there was a significant snowstorm.
Snow and ice and high winds can cause immense disruption to travel.
The tarmac was just white with snow on the actual runway. We just kind of looked at each other like, oh, great.
Landing 200 miles away from their destination, there was yet more bad news.
We were told that our luggage wouldn't be able to get off the plane with us.
Another bit of bad luck that they did not need.
The only clothes they had were the light travel ones they were wearing. Dan and Gabby reluctantly took the long cab ride into the city and bedded down for the night. But things were about to get worse.
We wake up the next morning and the first thing I do is call the airline.
And they say to us, we're really sorry, we've flown your luggage back to London.
It goes from bad to worse.
Our hearts just literally just sank at that point, and you're just thinking, oh, for God's sake.
It's a nightmare.
You've sent it back to the UK. They're still in America.
In the suitcase, we had our warm clothes for New York, for the freezing temps.
There's snow, there's blizzards, there's ice, there's wind.
It was another level of cold, to be honest. I've not felt cold like that.
New York is freezing in the winter.
All we were wearing were the clothes on our backs. That's all we had with us.
We had nothing.
It's like, what more can you throw at me?
On the first day of their honeymoon, when they should have been taking in the New York highlights, instead they had to shop for a whole new wardrobe.
I don't want to go shopping in New York City. I want to explore New York City. I just want to enjoy it.
Such doomsday start to their life together.
I think we're in the middle of Times Square and I just cried.
This must have been a really miserable experience.
The honeymoon wasn't the only problem. The warning signs were even there at the wedding.
Ah, this story just keeps on giving.
Let's rewind to their lovely Brighton wedding, which seemed to be going so spiffingly.
We have just
Suddenly the fire alarm goes off.
We have just
And then all hell broke loose.
Imagine you're in the middle of your wedding, just completing your vows.
Guy comes in, telling everyone to evacuate because there's been some sort of bomb scare.
Alec, run! Evacuate the building!
It was a full-scale evacuation.
Hurricane conditions outside.
Utter chaos.
Remarkably, despite the mayhem, the wedding did eventually take place.
I mean, we got there in the end.
We did.
It was at that point that we found out that it was a bomb scare that was actually a hoax, essentially.
Oh, my God.
That's just really, really terrible, isn't it?
At least they had a happy ending, as they got to hang out in Florida for the second week of their honeymoon.
80 degrees, we can relax, get in the sunshine and just chill.
And with baby Dylan arriving prematurely just 3 weeks after they returned, all has been forgiven.
That put the honeymoon and the wedding to shade, that experience.
L'chaim. Before you can head off on your honeymoon holiday, you need to fall in love. And love can blossom in the most unusual of places, as Londoner James and Olya from Ukraine can testify.
I was working in Ukraine organising trips to Chernobyl since 2014. Olga, when she moved to Kiev, also got into this industry.
Chernobyl, the site of the world's worst nuclear accident, and is a really compelling tourist attraction.
We were working in the same place, in the same zones.
I was just minding my own business until I was introduced to this charming gentleman.
The world's worst nuclear disaster is what brought us together.
Well, people have different ideas of what is and what isn't romantic, right?
I guess as a couple, our love just radiates.
The derelict nuclear plant was the backdrop to this international romance.
I proposed to Olga in front of Reactor 4 with the confinement structure behind us.
I didn't expect it at all that day, but that was the magic of it.
I love their joie de vivre and the uniqueness of how they embrace what they love.
With tensions rising on the Ukraine-Russian border, the couple shelved plans for a church wedding in Chernobyl and opted for a registry office in Kyiv.
Whilst it wasn't the perfect wedding that had been planned, for me it was still amazing.
And to top it off, James and Olya had planned an unconventional honeymoon.
We'd settled on North Korea. It's a completely unique country.
I applaud James and Olya's choice of North Korea as a honeymoon destination.
Completely different culture to anything that we've ever experienced in the rest of the world.
Good on them for wanting to experience something so different.
It's one of those places you need to visit with an open mind.
But before they could even think about packing their bags...
Breaking news. We've just had confirmation Russian troops have crossed into Ukraine.
2 days after the wedding, we were woken up with sounds of explosions in Kiev.
That was a very dark day for Europe and a really big problem for these two.
The situation pretty much escalated around them.
With the Russian army heading their way, the honeymoon was put on hold.
I said to Olya, if we're going to go, we need to go now. Let's go. We took about 15 minutes to pack one backpack each, and then we locked our flat and left.
They needed to get the hell out of there.
I really hate talking about it. It puts me back to that day. The feeling that you lose the ground under your feet, thoughts that your loved ones are under the danger.
We were in the streets and we heard missiles flying over our heads.
This is not what you expect. 2 days after getting married, you're now in a place that has suddenly become a war zone.
Their honeymoon was now the last thing on their minds.
Spoken to some friends in Poland who are going to meet us the Polish side of the border.
From Poland, we're like, once we're there, we can sort out a route back to the UK.
All we need to do now is work out how to get from Kiev to the Polish border.
Rather than becoming honeymooners, they pretty much became refugees.
A friend in a nearby village offered them a lift to the border, but first they had to get out of Kyiv.
Went to the bus station, no buses operating, no trains running.
They decided to grab a taxi.
It was crazy expensive, but what other choice? Probably paid between 6 to 8 times the normal price.
Everyone else, it seems, had the same idea.
At one point, it took us an hour to go 300 metres because the traffic was just solid.
They were delayed so much they missed their lift to the border.
Our friend messaged us saying, "Don't bother coming, I've left without you."
Ditching the taxi, they tried to hitch a ride west, as did thousands of other Ukrainians.
When you see mothers with their children not knowing where they're going to go, it's something that I will never forget. Why is this happening to us?
Along with many, many other Ukrainians, they were fleeing their country. And that breaks my heart, it really does.
To see lines of military vehicles, it made it all very, very real.
The reality check must have been really just so upsetting that this was actually happening.
Eventually, they bumped into a driver who offered them places on his minibus.
He said, "I can't take you to the border, but I'm going to fill up with people and I'm going as far as Lviv." So at least we're going most of the way to where we need to be now.
Lviv is around 43 miles from the Polish border.
With normal traffic, it just takes from 6 to 8 hours to get from Kiev to Lviv. But that day, it took us 18 hours.
With honeymoon plans well off the agenda, thoughts turn to those left behind.
You're checking the news. You are messaging your friends and loved ones every 5 minutes, asking what's going on. What are they up to? Are they in a shelter? As well, you're thinking about yourself, that you're just on the road somewhere in an open area where the missiles are just flying around. You're not protected.
Their nightmare journey continued.
We were arriving into Lviv when the air raid siren started.
Now we're in Lviv, and now we've got to try and find a way to the Polish border.
I didn't feel safe.
Luckily, James and Olia managed to catch a bus to the border and eventually crossed into Poland where their friend was waiting.
For me, that was the first opportunity I had to think about everything that had happened.
Us being together was actually giving some strength. You know that your loved one is safe. Being together helped not to just lose your mind in all that horror.
We managed to get out. They are safe. And I kind of think it puts it all in perspective.
We'll find a way forward and do something new.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't get that dream honeymoon in North Korea, but at least they got out safely.
The main thing is to have each other.
Each and every aspect of your life can just change in one morning. But I see a very nice and bright future with James.
Once you've tied the knot, you want your honeymoon to be plain sailing.
And obviously the weather comes into it. Beautiful sunsets and gorgeous swimming in the ocean.
Hopefully avoiding any choppy waters. Lovebirds Carl and Faye got off to a flying start.
The wedding was one of the best days of our lives.
But the lead-up was quite stressful.
The honeymoon is a time to decompress, I think.
Exactly what Carl and Faye thought for their pre-Christmas honeymoon.
2 weeks to chill, somewhere hot, picturesque.
We both agreed we wanted to go to Mexico.
Mexico is beautiful.
People are friendly.
The cocktails,
Food is great.
the beaches.
You've got it all going on.
We went for cocktails by the beach, pool bars, taking part in the entertainment, a few belly flops in the pool.
It was lovely.
Sounds like everything went swimmingly. After 2 weeks of living La Vida Loca, it was time to say hasta la vista to Mexico and begin the long trip back to Bristol.
We did have a night flight, so it was going to be a bit of a long one.
Tried to sleep on the plane, but I was tossing and turning. I couldn't sleep, and I'm thinking, oh, God. Got home really late at night, and then get back in the car, drive all the way back to Bristol.
Just wanted to get home in the end.
All you want to do is just be at home,
Dump your cases, just kind of relax.
on your sofa, with a lovely cup of tea in hand.
When they arrived home after their long sleepless journey, there was a seasonal surprise waiting for them.
Feliz Navidad a todos.
We get home at 7 o'clock in the morning to find the door covered in bibs.
So I first thought that my family had put up my Christmas tree ready for Christmas. I thought, oh, that'd be very nice. Open the door. All the walls are covered in Christmas wrapping paper.
What is going on here?
All the furniture is wrapped up.
For goodness sake.
As you walk into the living room, the rug's wrapped up, the pillows are wrapped up, pictures are wrapped up.
Everything. All the kitchen cupboards are wrapped up.
Why?
All the stuff on the side, which I assumed was presents, but when we eventually opened them, they were just our breadboard, fruit bowl.
It's just ridiculous.
I go into the bathroom and there's just bows everywhere. I was fuming.
Someone has played a massive practical joke on them.
The last thing you want as you get off your plane from Mexico to have to unwrap your house and its contents.
To me, it looks like, Father Christmas has had too many brandies and thrown up Christmas.
I was fuming because I was so tired and just wanted to go to bed.
please just don't have wrapped our bed because we just wanted to go to sleep.
Thankfully, the bed was only covered in sheets of Egyptian cotton and not sheets of wrapping paper.
The people that did this, did they forget to give them a gift?
I was just thinking, who's done this to our house?
It later transpired that Faye's sister Claire and a friend had been the naughty elves behind the, hilarious prank.
Funny, not funny.
I'm just jealous I didn't come up with the idea.
At least Faye and Carl were presented with a gift of hindsight.
The one thing I've learned from this experience is I would never give anyone my spare key to my house again.
And that is a wrap.